Alright everybody, I'm Marcus. This is the Reeves Electro Workshop. The birds are happy, the sun's out, and today I'm going to talk about acid etching your stomp box enclosures. Recently I've had quite a lot of people ask me about my acid etching process for my enclosures, and I thought I'd just do a very quick, well probably not quick actually, little tutorial about the process that I use. So first of all, there's a transfer. You need a laser printer. Preferably a mono one actually, but it doesn't matter that much. You need the right transfer paper, and we'll talk about that later. And then the transfer technique. There's two types. There's heat transfer, and then there's cold chemical transfer, which is the type that I use, using a mix of isopropanol alcohol and acetone. Right, so printer, laser printer. I'm not good. My video editing skills are fairly non-existent, so most of this is just going to be stuff to the camera. So I'm not really going to go over, give you practical examples, but I'm going to give you all the facts basically. Okay, I use a Samsung Express M2026 mono printer. I picked it up on eBay, reconditioned, well I think it was next demo, for about 30 quid. It had 90% toner in it. Happy days. Okay, it works fine. It's tiny. It's like the size of an inkjet printer. When you set your artwork up to print, you are don't print out of Windows, because Windows just screws stuff up. It doesn't have any sizing protocols. It mucks around with the color profile, and it's just hard work. Use GIMP, which is free, or Photoshop if you can get sort yourself a copy out. I use Photoshop, and I print directly out of Photoshop, and it keeps it sized to the size you specified in Photoshop, which is important, obviously. And also, critical, your images have to be RGB color space. If you don't know anything about that, Google it up. There's plenty to be able to tell you how to convert your images to RGB color space. That will give you the densest black, and it will give you a nice thick transfer. Okay, transfer paper. I go to my local sign shop and get the backing paper that they throw away. Okay, this is like the adhesive. It's called application tape that they use to for their vinyl lettering. It holds all the vinyl lettering together. The application tape comes off this, and they throw those reels in the skip. Okay, and that waxy, plasticky finish is absolutely perfect. It's stiff, it's stable, it's good quality, and that will make the most amazing transfer paper. That's one of the big secrets. So I just cut that down into A5 sheets and print off on that, and then I cut it out. Transferring onto your stomp box. Don't know whether you can see, I've dropped corner marks on those. There, that's actually at the exact size of the enclosure, and then all you need to do is just cut them out. And then you've got something that's the exact size of the enclosure, and you can line that up on the enclosure ready for transfer. Just take one edge on, okay, and then flip it over. Stick another piece of tape on the end there for when you've moved it, because it will move when you've started the transfer process, because it will move around a little bit. Okay, so cold toner transfer. what is cold toner transfer. It's 3 parts acetone and 8 parts isopropanol alcohol. That's what you need. Okay. The isopropanol alcohol doesn't attack the toner itself. Okay, it's neutral to it, but pure acetone destroys it instantly. So what you need to do is dilute that acetone so it just softens the toner. Okay, and we dilute that with isopropyl alcohol. Okay, so that's the secret. Okay, so how do you use that magic juice? What you need to do is get yourself 2 lids or bottoms, whatever you like to call them. One to sit on the bottom, one to sit on the top, some folded over tissue paper just as a sort of a cushion, a pipette, some good strong clamps. Get some of the acetone mix and just drop that on there. You don't need very much. You can use your fingers because it's not going to leave any grease. Just make sure that the acetone is spread entirely over the face of what you're going to etch, and then literally just flip that over and just kind of squeegee it across with your hand. Now this is the point, you've got to be quick because it starts to it starts to melt. Okay, you've got to try not to like shift it and move it around. You need to put your tissue paper and the other lid on there, and then clamp it. Okay, leave that for about half an hour to an hour. Be patient. All the failures that I've had are because I was too impatient to see the results. When you're happy that enough time has passed, you will also need a little print roller, a rubber print roller. That's about £4 on eBay, something ridiculous like that. Okay, once you've done that, again, try not to make it skid around, and obviously do this on a bench, but what you'll need to do then is just give it a really good squeegeeing down with that roller, and that will make sure that all the parts of the transfer are burnished onto the enclosure. And then again, patient, leave it overnight, let everything evaporate, let everything go. Okay, because then what will happen when you come back, literally the paper will just lift off and you'll be left with a perfect transfer on there. Well, fingers crossed. So that's the transfer technique. Once you've got your transfer, so get yourself an etch resistant pen and just go through, and any bits that any holes or anything you transfer, obviously dot them in, and tape out and cover up any of the parts that you don't want to etch. Nail varnish is also really useful for covering any large areas that you don't want covered. It comes off with acetone, no problem. Right, on to the etch process. I use 40% ferric chloride. Okay, I don't dilute it when I get it. I buy it in 5-litre tubs, or from a manufacturer called Vortex. It's good gear. It's not lovely stuff, but it's not super toxic. Wear gloves, wear eye protection. Okay. Yeah, it's not very nice. Look up about disposal of it as well, because there's particular ways that you can dispose of it, or you have to dispose of it, which I'm not going to go into today. So I use full immersion. I use a dip tank. Okay, I've got some plastic containers that are tall, and literally I just lower them in for the amount of time to take them out. Okay, you might want to do puddling and whatever, but the timings that I'm giving you are for dipping the whole enclosure. Okay, so if you want to use a different technique, you might have to experiment with your timings, because with a dip tank, the ferric is constantly renewing itself. When you just puddle it on the top, the ferric loses its power quite quickly, whereas in a dip tank it's constantly at its full power. So all my timings are for dip tank. So you've got it's masked out, you've got your transfer on there, you're ready to rock with your dip tank and your ferric chloride. So what's the technique? Now, I don't do deep etches. All I want to do really is just what I call a marking etch. This is taken off like a first layer, you know, probably not even 1/10 of a millimeter. You can just feel it, but that's about it. You can't really see much on there, but it's enough to oxidize the open areas, and obviously the shiny areas stay present. So I dip for a minute and then take it out. I have a water container next to my ferric where I'll rinse it and neutralize it with my rubber glove and just check where I am. It will get hot. Okay, the etching process creates heat, which is a double-edged sword, because the etching process also speeds up with heat, and it will continue to get hotter, and if you leave it in there, it will burn off your transfer. Okay, so a minute at a time, out, rinse, check, let everything cool down. Okay, back in, another minute, check, rinse, and just keep doing it a minute at a time until you've got to the desired result. If you leave it in for 3 minutes, it will heat the whole thing. You'll get this grey, scummy, fuzzy bubble, and it will just be a mess, and you'll take it out and it'll have eaten away all your fine details. So yeah, that's the way to go. You will get some grey fuzz come up on the top a little bit. Just kind of get a tissue or something and just kind of clean that off every time you do an etch, because it does degrade the ferric a little bit. Safety note, okay, the etching process gives off some toxic gases in fairly small quantities, but it still gives them off. So make sure you do this in a very, very well ventilated area. Okay, I've got a ventilation system above my bench there, that is on all the time. They're not nice gases, so be aware. Please be safe when you're doing this. So you've got to your desired effect, you've got your etch done, you're happy with how it looks, and you've neutralized it. Okay, when I say neutralized it, you literally just rinsed it off. Give it a really good wash, because the ferric, small amounts of the ferric will stay in the metal. It becomes slightly porous, so give it a really good scrub and a really good wash with soapy water once you're happy that it is exactly what you want. And then it's really up to you how you go forward from there. Generally, I've got a buffing wheel over there, but I also use a handheld one. And again, this was a couple of quid on eBay just for this mop, and some polishing compound. I found that just a light running over with that really kind of finishes it off and brings it up to a nice sheen. And that's it. You know, it is fairly simple. I think I've covered just about everything. If I haven't, please make some comments below and I'll see if I can answer them. And also please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon, because I'm going to be doing lots more of these tutorials. So thank you for watching, and I hope your etches are successful. Brilliant.